Have you ever just felt like your path is, well, different? That no matter how hard you try, you just don't quite fit in with everybody else? Today, we're going to dig in to a spiritual perspective on why that might be, and why feeling separate isn't a flaw at all, but maybe a design. Let's really explore what that means. I mean, really think about it. You walk into a crowded room, and it's like the air just gets thick, you know? It's heavy. You feel totally drained, completely out of place, even while everyone else seems to be having the time of their lives. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. And there's a really profound reason for it that we're about to unpack. So, this brings us to the core idea of our first section, a spirit set apart. That feeling of being different isn't some social problem that you need to solve. No. The source material we're looking at today suggests it's actually a divine design. It's a fundamental part of a very unique spiritual journey that kicks off with feeling like you just don't belong. You've probably felt this your whole life, right? This invisible wall. You've tried to connect, to blend in, but it's like something was always holding you back. This feeling of being an outsider. It's not in your head. It's a very, very real experience for people on this specific path. And right here is where we get this powerful shift in perspective. The source material tells us that this lifelong feeling of isolation, this disconnect, it was never a punishment. It was actually the very first sign of a sacred purpose, a divine calling. So that whole idea of a divine calling obviously leads to the big question: who is the chosen one? To really get a handle on this path, we've got to define what it even means in this context. So let's break down the definition and the key traits just as they're laid out in our source material. Okay, so the crucial point here is that this isn't about ego, right? It's not about being special in some worldly way. It's described as a divine job assignment, a soul literally designed before birth to serve a specific, high-stakes spiritual purpose, to be a vessel, a messenger, and a warrior for the light. And this profile shows it's not just some vague feeling, but a very specific set of spiritual sensitivities. We're talking about seeing through illusions, feeling the real energy in a room, and having that deep, unshakable desire for something more meaningful. It shows this path isn't built for comfort. It's meant to challenge how things are and lead others toward a higher truth. And that's the bottom line, isn't it? That's the trade-off. This path is all about purpose over popularity. The mission is what matters, not getting a bunch of likes. But trying to live a purposeful life in a world that's obsessed with popularity, well, that creates a whole lot of friction. Which brings us right back to the problem with crowds. So, why do you get so exhausted in crowds? The source points to a fundamental clash of energies. It calls it an energetic misalignment. This is where we get into the, spiritual physics of it all. Just look at this comparison. It lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got a refined, potent frequency that's aligned with a higher purpose. On the other side, you have the collective energy of the masses, which is often dense, chaotic, and driven by fear and ego. According to the source, these two frequencies are literally like oil and water. They just don't mix. And that clash, that friction, that's what drains you. It's not social anxiety. You're not just antisocial. It's your spirit having a physical reaction to an environment that is energetically hostile to your very nature. It's a spiritual thing, not a personal failing. Okay, now we get to a huge turning point in understanding this journey. Isolation is actually a form of protection. This section really asks us to completely rethink loneliness. What if all that time you've spent feeling isolated wasn't a flaw in your design, but a feature, a kind of sacred, divine protection? Yeah, that deep, sometimes painful feeling of loneliness that has been with you for so much of your life, what if it actually has a higher purpose? The source just reframes it so beautifully right here. Number one, it's not a punishment for being different. Number two, it is preparation for a mission that's coming. And number three, and this is huge, it is divine protection, shielding you while you get ready. This quote just sums it all up, doesn't it? Before elevation comes separation. I mean, think about it. Any great leader or prophet from the old stories, they almost always went through a period in the wilderness, a time of separation, before they stepped into their real calling. It's presented as this universal spiritual law. So what's this protection really for? Well, it's to keep your spirit clear from all the noise of the world. It lets your spiritual gifts and your intuition get razor sharp. It creates a direct, interference-free line for divine wisdom to come through. And it forges you in the quiet, getting you ready for the battles ahead. So if you're being protected and prepared, what's it all for? And that brings us to our final section. All of this, every bit of it, is for one reason. You have a critical assignment. You have a mission that requires absolute, unwavering clarity. The stakes are just too high. Your purpose can't be watered down by worldly confusion, by gossip, by all those chaotic energies we talked about earlier. The signal has to be pure. It just has to be. And these are the high-stakes tasks the Source talks about. This is not a small-time gig. We're talking about seeing things as they really are, being able to break deep-seated negative patterns, and literally being a light for other people. You just can't do that if you're drowning in noise. So in the end, clarity isn't just a nice thing to have. It's everything. It's your main tool, it's your weapon, it's your guide. And this clarity is grown and protected in the very solitude that you might have once thought was a curse. Wow, what a powerful way to wrap this up from our source material. The separation isn't about being cast out. It's about being positioned for a higher purpose, for a greater responsibility. The entire perspective shifts from one of exclusion to one of elevation. And that brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. If this entire journey of feeling different, of being isolated, has really been a training ground, what exactly is the mission you are being trained for? What does your spirit feel called to do? That is the real journey ahead.